Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome along to the wilds of Suffolk. I'm out here yet again on the beach today because it is beautiful down here to do what I do. I'm walking along beautiful locations such as this, talking about, giving you my thoughts and opinions on what's happening in the world and in the public consciousness. If it's your first time here, welcome along. This is what I do. I hope you enjoy. If you're a returning subscriber, all 900 and... Gee, I don't even know how many there are. There's a lot of people here. Thank you one and all for joining me. It is I'm overwhelmed by how many people join me for these walks. So thank you one and all for being here. So today I'm titling this video, Not My Fight. And I'm going to go through a few things that are happening in the world, just in case you've missed it. And we're going to talk about not my fight. Is it your fight? Is it my fight? Whose fight is it? If not yours, whose is it? So as we look around the world, I've been talking about this for quite some time, we see, I do apologise if the wind is too strong and making it too noisy for you to hear me. I hope you can still hear me. If not, I'm going to have to do something else. But this is, for those of you who don't know as well, we had a big storm here in the UK. Well, they called it a big storm. It was a bit of wind for a couple of days. They made a big deal about it on international press. It wasn't that bad. Yes, there was some trees blowing down and all that kind of jazz, but you can see, I mean, you know, strange things have happened on this beach. So it's always been a shingle beach, stone beach, and now, for some reason, it's all sand. Climate change. It must be. Anyway, so if we look around the world at the lunacy that's happening, I did say February is going to be pretty crazy. We're not done yet. We're far from done. The next week is going to be the culmination, if you will, of the crazy. Well, a lot of things will start to bubble to the surface from next week. Interesting times. Now, also, while we're talking about next week, dates. I've mentioned that, as you'll notice, I'm not doing as many videos as I used to because I have disconnected a lot of myself from the noise that is coming through the world that we live in. The internet, the media. I've disconnected myself from as much of that as I possibly can because it is all noise. And the main thing that we need to be watching is the financial reset. The rest is all noise, okay? But I want to explain why the noise is there. Well, it's best my understanding anyway. Like I say, my thoughts and opinions, I could be completely wrong. It's up to you to decide. I don't tell you what the truth is. I tell you what my thoughts and opinions are. You get to decide what you think. So we look around, obviously, as I've mentioned many times before, I'm Australian living in the UK. I have spent years and years and years watching world events through many different platforms, namely like things like conspiracy theory platforms, through mainstream media platforms, through all sorts. It's a real cross section of different places I get my information from. Okay, and I try and cross-reference it against each other and try and find patterns in what I'm looking at, patterns in speech. Wow, the wind is really getting up. Patterns in speech, words, certain phrases. That's what I'm looking for when I look through all these different things, because that's how you find the sort of nugget of truth in the middle of it all. Make sense? Okay. So, as an Australian, been living in the UK, obviously what's happening in Australia, or has been happening in Australia, has been a keen interest to me, as is what's happening in the rest of the world, but Australia particularly. As we've seen in Australia, here, well, it started in Canada, so we best start in Canada. Canada, the truckers protest, not terrorism, protest, peaceful protest, I might add, where they parked their trucks. They wanted to speak to the government and talk to the government, who they never spoke to the truckers, by the way. And the movement that the truckers started in Canada spread to the rest of the world, emboldened everybody. They thought, well, if the truckers can do it, those nice, friendly, quiet people up in Canada, And the people in Canada are wonderful. I've been there. Love you all over in Canada. Just like the ability to lead this movement, this worldwide movement, is astounding. So I like, my hat's off to everybody involved, and the courage, bravery, determination that they've shown has been inspirational to everybody. Well, not to everybody, because I've heard many people say, when I've asked them, well, why aren't you taking part in this? Well, it's not my fight. So as I say, this has spread from Canada to the UK. They had a truckers convoy here in the UK, which was successful. They went down to London. There was a bunch of trucks coming in from lots of different directions from the UK. Went down to London, proved a point, got people's attention, which is wonderful. A lot of people didn't take part. Now, just to clarify my position, I don't take part in protests. There's a very good reason for that. I don't go to these, sorry if the wind is just getting up. I don't take part in protests for a very good reason, because I know what I'm like. I'm not going to go to a protest and watch people being beaten by police. I'm not going to go there and watch people getting arrested for doing nothing without acting. I wouldn't be able to just sit there and film somebody getting beaten by police. I know that I couldn't do that. I know I couldn't just watch that. So I don't go, because I'd probably be arrested within about 10 minutes and achieve nothing. So it's pointless me going to protests. Absolutely pointless. I know that I'll be in the back of the paddy wagon in no time at all. So, but for the people that do and that can stay in their safe space, and stay in a space where they're not going to get triggered by these actions of the police and these brutes, thugs, scum, I don't know what the best word is to use. Oh, the wind's howling now. But I wouldn't be able to do it. For those people who can and who do, my hat is off to you. My imaginary hat, that is. Amazing the people who can go along to these protests and stand there with love and harmony, and and I couldn't do it. That's why I don't go. So, but this movement of the Canadian truckers has spread around the world, and in Australia, the UK, it happened here as well. Got a lot of people involved, which is awesome. In Australia, massive. Finally, Australia, thank you for finally coming to the party after you've been tortured and beaten and locked down and just treated like animals. Finally had the wherewithal to stand up and say no. Now, there was reports of I had some friends who were there at the protest who were saying there was more than 1 million people there. In Australia, there's a population of about 20 million, just over 20 million people. So that's 1%. Anyway, you can do the math. It's too early in the morning here. It's like 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning. I'm out walking on the beach in the cold and the wind, just for you. But it's a massive proportion of the population that's gone to this protest in Australia to protest the lockdowns and all the nonsense that's gone along with it. Now, whether you believe all this is justified, whether you believe that this pandemic is really as serious as what they're saying, really isn't irrelevant. The governments of the world have taken advantage of this. Well, taken advantage of it, created it, who knows? Have taken advantage of this to install greater powers on themselves. Just look at what Trudeau's done in Canada. I'm setting myself as a dictator. Well, that's not what he said. He said, I'm granting myself emergency powers to do whatever the fuck I want. And no one can say any different. And I'm going to send the police out to beat on protesters and arrest them. Protesters, not terrorists. I'm going to send the police out who aren't even from the city that they're going out to arrest people. Yes. I'm going to send those thugs out to arrest people who are protesting against the government because we've kept you locked down for 2 years. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. It is lunacy. Look what's happening in Austria. Forced. You will have it. You don't have a choice. Like, what the fuck? Honestly. Now, I say to people all the time, you've got to get in the fight. This is... If you can't see the tyranny now, I suggest maybe going to Specsavers. Get your eyes checked. I mean, my eyes aren't good. You know, I borrow my children to read things to me, okay? That's how bad my eyes are. But I can see what's going on. You know, if you have some kind of, you know, hearing aid, maybe turn that puppy up. Maybe get your eyes tested. You know, maybe turn off the media, which is coming up on Monday, 21st. Remember? Switch everything off for a day. Come back on the 22nd, enlivened. What else is happening on the 22nd? I'm not sure. So let's let's see. Now I said I did a video about the 22222. Yeah, all the twos, which is an angelic number, 222. And what day is the 22nd? Tuesday. It's another 2. Tuesday. 2222222 on Tuesday. So, what's going to happen on Tuesday? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Not me. But I suppose we're going to find out very soon. Now, I keep on saying to people all the time, you've got to get in this fight. It's not just a fight for you and your rights, although it is, and that's probably the most important thing you can be fighting for. But this is a fight for your children and your children's rights. Because if you submit to lockdowns and the government telling you every action that you're allowed to take, every word you're allowed to speak or not allowed to speak, and, you know, social media platforms saying what you can and can't say, the truth, we'll tell you what the truth is. We'll tell you what the truth is. Don't believe your own lying eyes. We'll tell you what the truth is. But we're going to go through this process of learning what we haven't been able to see for a long time, because the systems are about to collapse. Now, everything that we're saying is to hide the financial collapse. Everything. The financial collapse is in the process of happening as we speak. Okay, I've been talking about this for years, and it's happening now. And everything else is to hide that, is to put it to one side and make it look like this everything else is happening, and then they're going to say, well, the financial system collapsed because of the pandemic or because of the war. Remember I said there's a change in narrative coming? Then they're going to blame it. Oh yes, it's because of Ukraine. That's why the financial system collapsed, or because of the cyber attack. Yeah, somebody attacked all of our banks. That's why they all gone down and haven't got any money for you. Not really. Banks don't have the money anyway. Not that I'm going to say that there could be a bank run. I'm not going to say that. I won't say that. No, I can't say that. I'm not allowed to say that. So I'm not saying that. But strange things are happening in banks around the world. And as Lynette Sang likes to say, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. So if you don't hold your cash, then it's not yours. Just saying. Now, not my fight. I've been saying to people all the time, you've got to get in this. You've got to stand for your rights and your children's rights, and, you know, if you don't do that now, you're lost. And people say, well, it's not my fight. You know, it's got nothing to do with me. Yeah, I got friends who are damaged, and I'm saying to them, you've got to tell people what's going on. oh, I can't tell people, for whatever reason. I don't want to be, I've got so many people that are contacting me in the background and saying, I agree with you, Chris, but I can't say it publicly because I don't want to be ridiculed and, smacked down like you are every day. And I'm like, well, then what's going to change? If we're all living in this bubble of, oh, everything's good for me, I'm all right, but the world around you is crumbling. And at some point, you have to recognize what's happening. The financial system is in decline. And that relates to everything. Okay, you've got the same people that control the flow of money. And as we talk about the flow of money, look what happened in Canada, where the government said, under the emergency powers, we can stop your bank account. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. So the government can seize your funds in your bank account if they say, oh, we don't like who you're giving money to, as a charity. The government can decide who you can give money to. Oh, it's terrorist financing. So now, protests against the government are terrorism. And they can freeze your bank account and seize crypto wallets. How that's possible, I have no idea. Possibly the only way that I can think that they can seize a crypto wallet is on an exchange where you shouldn't be holding crypto anyway. If you hold crypto, it should be on an offline wallet. Remember, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. Now, the tyranny and the oppression that's happening in the world should be enough to wake people from their slumber. But no, many people are still happily lying down and eyes closed, completely oblivious to what's going on. Completely oblivious of the World Economic Forum and their Great Reset Plan. In 2030 you own nothing and you'll be happy about it. I've done so many videos about this, it's ridiculous. But yet people are still asking me, what do I do? Well, you can start by opening your eyes, recognizing what's happening in the world, or not. But we've all got to get in this fight. And the fight is right now. All of us have to do it. This is a fight for our survival, for the survival of our species, for the survival of our right to be able to walk along in beautiful locations, to be able to meet with each other, and for our right just to choose what we do with our life, who we give our money to, where we go, when we can go places, who we can meet, what we can wear, what we don't have to wear. Now, this fight is bigger than people realise, I think. My wife and I are battling through some nonsense to do with this. For those who don't know, my wife is in the care industry, so you can imagine the fight that we have on our hands to make sure that we are, staying above water, just so we can fingers on the ledge. We live in a world where everything we say, everything we see, is caught and captured, and we're told how to think, what to do, where to go, and how we can live. This is no way to live. Being told and dictated to how to live. When you can open your business. What food you can eat. Oh, we're going to all eat 3D printed steak now. It's made in a lab from what? Yeah. But this is your fight. This is everybody's fight. It should be everybody's fight. You know, we're living in this world where tyranny is reigning. And we need to stand together. You know, the problem is that people are fighting with each other because they're scared. They're scared of what it might mean if they don't. They're scared of, well, the government's going to crack down on me. Who is the government? Who is the government? What's their role? Now, the government is for our creation. The government is there to serve us. It is a servant of the people. Is your government serving you? I mean, really, is it? Oh, but you know, Chris, when they shut down here in the UK, when they shut down, the government paid us 80% of our wage. Did they? And with what money? What money did they use to give you 80% of your wage? I'll wait. Where did that money, where did the government get that money from to pay you 80% of your wage? Where does the government get all of its money? Do you want to maybe pause the video and go and look it up? I'll tell you. Okay, the government gets all of its money from the people, us. We fund the government, we pay for it. Everything the government does, everything the government spends money on, so when you see the government paying out billions for the jabs that they're throwing in the bin, where does that money come from? From the public purse, from your taxes, from the fines that you pay for not being a good person. It comes from the public. The government is wasting your money, your time, your life, and robbing from you blind every single day. So is the government serving you really? Really? You know, just the other day, in the European Union, they're throwing away 55 million doses of that, 55 million doses that we paid for, because nobody wants it. We still can't see the contract that these governments signed with Pfizer. It's not my fight, Chris. It's not my fight. I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and wait for everybody else to do the work for me. Now, when we're talking about doing the work for you, I was talking with a good friend of mine yesterday about debt cancellation and the subject. I've been talking about it for a while, and we're trying to get this subject to have a bit of a chat on here about it. We spoke yesterday for over an hour about this very subject of debt cancellation and all this. Now, what he said is that everything's there in plain sight for everybody to see. It always has been, always will be. And then they can say, well, you know, it was all there for you, you're just too stupid to know. Now, I'm trying to find a way that we can bring it to the average person, so the average person can use the methods that are available to cancel their debt. Okay? But as part of the conversation, there is no shortcut. There's no shortcut to anything. In order to get from one place to another place, especially when you're talking about the legal side and all this kind of jazz, you have to know the subject. So, anyone looking for a shortcut out of anything, you're looking at the wrong place. You have to do the work. This isn't my fight, it's everybody's fight. Is this the way you want to live? If it is, then carry on doing what you're doing. Being told where to go, what to do, by whom. You know, if you want your entire life structured the way that the government wants you to live, then carry on. Carry on. I don't. You know, I don't understand why you want to live that way, but if you do, then you're probably watching the wrong video in the first place. So, the crux of this whole video is, I want everybody, even if you don't agree with me on this particular point that we have to push back on the government for what they're doing with this particular pandemic, these pandemic actions, I want you to understand something really, really important. This is the most important thing of this whole video, right? While you might agree with the government on this point, if you give them powers to have complete control over your life, then that carries over to every point. So while you might agree with this government on this point, that carries over to future governments on everything. You're setting a precedent. Once you set a precedent, then that precedent can be used. Well, we did it before. We used the Emergency Powers Act where we locked down your bank accounts because, well, things are troubling in the economy at the moment. We have to shut down your bank account so you don't take all the money out of the system. Something like that, While you might agree with this government on this point, once you set a precedent, and a future government could come in with a point that you totally disagree with, and then you've got no room on the runway. There's no pushback anymore because you sat idly by, sat on your ass and went, well, it's not my fight. It's everybody's fight. And the people out there like me, like the people who are going to the protests, the truckers, people who are standing their ground, people making videos and trying to educate people about what's going on, trying. It's all of our fight. We're fighting for you. We all fight in our own way. Some people are out there battling on social media. Great. Whatever your fight is, that's what you've got to keep up. If you're wearing a t-shirt that gets the message out there, whatever it is, get in the fight. While you might agree with the government on this point, you might not on another point, and who's going to be there to fight for you when that happens? If you're not going to stand with your fellow man who's being punished and put down and literally beaten on the streets for something that they disagree with in a way that they don't want to be treated, if you're not going to stand for them, who's going to stand for you when it's your turn? It's everybody's fight. Now, as I've said many, many times before, knowledge is key. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power for everything. I don't expect people to understand exactly what's going on right now. I don't expect people to understand all the intricacies of what's happening in the world. That's not the point. The point is, do you like the way that you're being treated by your government and the bureaucrats in your part of the world? Do you like it? No. Do you like the way that your children are being muzzled? Oh, the only way you can go out in public is to wear a muzzle over your face. It does nothing. Do you like that? Then get in the fight. Do whatever you can to push back. Don't ever wear a muzzle. Ever. Ever. Don't take part. Just say no, not doing it. Don't do this. That's up to you, of course. But look around you. Speak to people. Speak to people who are injured. Oh, but there's none of them. Yes, there are. Seek them out. The people around you, I'll guarantee there's at least one. I know three. Three people. That's three people that are seriously injured. Three. It's not my fight. Of course it's your fight. Get in the fight. Educate people around you. And just say, look, you don't have to go out and protest. You don't have to be raising your voice from the rooftops. Just say no. Everybody needs to take part in this because we all have to move forward together. I know people are scared, but this is my role and the role of the people out there trying to share information with people to make them less scared. Take part in it. If you're not sure what's going on, speak to people. But watch what happens over the course of next week, because that is going to bring a bunch of information to the surface that we didn't have before. Well, in the public realm anyway. It was always out there, but not in the mainstream media realm, let's put it that way. So get in the fight. Do whatever you can to support people around you. Even if you don't agree with them, support them because they are there supporting you, even if you don't think that they are. We're out here fighting the fight for you. Get involved. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree, but you need to support your fellow man in their right to say, I don't agree with you. Now, all that said, look at the world that we live in. While there's storms on the horizon, and there are storm clouds brewing, there's high winds, and the world seems crazy. The stability of the people around you is what you need. Connect with people. Don't disconnect from them. You need to connect with people around you because that is how we change things. So get out to the world. Do good. Be good. You can change the world with the way that you think, the way that you act, and the way you speak. the way that you interact with people. That's going to change the world. So go out there, do that. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me. Have an awesome day. Be part of the fight because things are about to get crazy. All right, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Love you lots. I'll see you soon. Ciao for now.